First, we've got to improve our education system. And we've made enormous progress drawing on ideas both from Democrats and Republicans that are already starting to show gains in some of the toughest to deal with schools. We've got a program called Race to the Top that has prompted reforms in 46 states around the country, raising standards, improving how we train teachers. So now I want to hire another 100,000 new math and science teachers and create 2 million more slots in our community colleges so that people can get trained for the jobs that are out there right now. And I want to make sure that we keep tuition low for our young people. When it comes to our tax code, Governor Romney and I both agree that our corporate tax rate is too high. So I want to lower it, particularly for manufacturing, taking it down to 25%. But I also want to close those loopholes that are giving incentives for companies that are shipping jobs overseas. I want to provide tax breaks for companies that are investing here in the United States. On energy, Governor Romney and I, we both agree that we've got to boost American energy production. And oil and natural gas production are higher than they've been in years. But I also believe that we've got to look at the energy sources of the future, like wind and solar and biofuels, and make those investments. So all of this is possible. Now, in order for us to do it, we do have to close our deficit, and one of the things I'm sure we'll be discussing tonight is how do we deal with our tax code, and how do we make sure that we are reducing spending in a responsible way, but also how do we have enough revenue to make those investments. And this is where there's a difference, because Governor Romney's Central Economic Plan calls for a $5 trillion tax cut. On top of the extension of the Bush tax cuts, that's another $1 trillion. And $2 trillion in additional military spending that the military hasn't asked for. That's $8 trillion. How we pay for that, reduce the deficit, and make the investments that we need to make without dumping those costs on the middle-class Americans, I think is one of the central questions this campaign.
Both of you have spoken about a lot of different things. We're going to try to get through them in as specific a way as we possibly can. But first, Governor Romney, do you have a question that you'd like to ask the president directly?
Okay, wow. Just wow. Okay, so Obama is talking about outsourcing. That's mainly because Mitt Romney, everybody knows he outsources a lot of jobs. But he makes up for it because he actually does make a lot of jobs here in the United States. But Obama's just trying to use it, like, well, I want to close down outsourcing jobs, like stuff like that, make it as low, give no tax breaks for them, because they're taking jobs outseas. So, yeah. Then he's saying, like, Romney has some fusion with the tax code, and then he says something about $5 trillion tax, and then $2 million going to the military. And, like, personally, I think we should cut down on military. We have so big a military. Is $2 trillion less really going to hurt us that much if we have, like, say you have $6 trillion to protect the world, and you only need $1 trillion to protect the world as efficiently. That's just $5 trillion extra dollars, just like for what the hell. So I think we should cut down the military, and that would give us a lot of money, and then that would boost our economy. And when I learned economics, like less military resources, and then it's more consumer resources. There'll be like more stuff. But all right, Romney. Okay, now this is going to like really get you guys thinking, because Obama's just saying what Romney's going to do. And now let's hear what Romney says he's going to do.
That's something you just said?
Well, sure. I'd like to clear up the record and go through piece by piece. First of all, I don't have a $5 trillion tax cut. I don't have a tax cut of the scale that you're talking about. My view is that we ought to provide tax relief to people in the middle class. But I'm not going to reduce the share of taxes paid by high-income people. High-income people are doing just fine in this economy. They'll do fine whether you're president or I am. The people who are having a hard time right now are middle-income Americans. Under the president's policies, middle-income Americans have been buried. They're just being crushed. Middle-income Americans have seen their income come down by $4,300. This is a tax in and of itself. I'll call it the economy tax. It's been crushing. At the same time, gasoline prices have doubled under the president. Electric rates are up. Food prices are up. Health care costs have gone up by $2,500 a family. Middle-income families are being crushed. And so the question is how to get them going again. And I've described it. It's energy and trade, the right kind of training programs, balancing our budget, and helping small business. Those are the cornerstones of my plan. But the president mentioned a couple of other ideas. I'll just note. First, education. I agree. Education is key, particularly the future of our economy. But our training programs right now, we got 47 of them housed in the federal government, reporting to 8 different agencies. Overhead is overwhelming. We got to get those dollars back to the states and go to the workers so they can create their own pathways to getting the training they need for jobs that will really help them. The second area, taxation. We agree we ought to bring the tax rates down, and I do, both for corporations and for individuals. But in order for us not to lose revenue, have the government run out of money, I also lower deductions and credits and exemptions so that we keep taking in the same money when you also account for growth. The third area, energy. Energy is critical, and the president pointed out correctly that production of oil and gas in the U.S. is up, but not due to his policies, in spite of his policies. Mr. President, all of the increase in natural gas and oil has happened on private land, not on government land. On government land, your administration has cut the number of permits and licenses in half. If I'm president, I'll double them and also get the oil from offshore in Alaska. And I'll bring that pipeline in from Canada. And by the way, I like coal. I'm going to make sure we can continue to burn clean coal. People in the coal industry feel like it's getting crushed by your policies. I want to get America and North America energy independent so we can create those jobs. And finally, with regards to that tax cut, look, I'm not looking to cut massive taxes and to reduce the revenues going to the government. My number one principle is there'll be no tax cut that adds to the deficit. I want to underline that. No tax cut that adds to the deficit. But I do want to reduce the burden being paid by middle-income Americans. And to do that, that also means I cannot reduce the burden paid by high-income Americans. So any language to the contrary is simply not accurate.
Mr. President?
Well, I think let's talk about taxes because I think it's instructive.
Okay, I am back, okay, with Romney. He just clear out dead said, I'm not having a $5 trillion tax cut. What the hell is he saying? And he's talking about education. He's saying for education, but then you just pretty much heard all he said. He is for the middle class. That's what he's saying. He's for the middle class. But remember, what Frank said is that, well, no, he's a business guy. Business guys are always... I have a lot of sits. Frank was right about ketchup. He said if I ate ketchup, I'd break out in sits. This is embarrassing. Anyway, but like Frank's saying that Romney is for big business and not really for middle class. But then people are saying like Obama isn't really for the middle class. He's for poor people. And middle class, I mean, we should be considered poor after $1,000. It's like both sides are against this. Democrats are against this. Republicans are against this. What am I? Am I independent like Yo Andrew? No, I am not an independent. I am a Democrat. That's right, you heard me. A Democrat. Democrat Republican. So, yeah. Hold on a second. Wow, this the time is stopping or something. But I just got a question from one of my supporters, Patrick Murphy. He was like, why would you use a video program for a radio show? Well, in our radio shows, I did record using video, but nobody could ever see it because I always save the audio files. But since today, the radio show's busted through no fault of my own, I like to stress that. I'm so canceled. But since today, I'm doing this. I'm making my own video show where I can actually see me, and then I like to play the clips, which I will edit in later once I upload. So that answers your question, Patrick. Because I can. That's why I'm doing a video radio show. Okay, back to Obama. Oh, by the way, I think you pretty much realized I'm playing songs now. No, I'm not making fun of politics. I'm just trying to make this not boring because people can go on YouTube and listen to this all the time. And then you hear YouTube video music like Ludacris Get Back and then Gangnam Style. But I'm just trying to make my show interesting. I'm not making fun of politics at all. And remember, I am a Democrat.